You're just jobless, aren't you? Don't act high and mighty just because you contribute some pocket change. Clean up your act or get out, you parasite! I get it. So I drained all our bank accounts to 39 cents and moved out. What the hell is this? Ah, consider that 39 cents as my way of saying thank you and goodbye. Good luck fending for yourselves. My name is Lucia, a 37-year-old freelance engineer. Currently, I'm working from home at my parents' house. I used to be a hermit, all thanks to the bullying I faced in high school. The popular girls in my class targeted me out of the blue. That led to me start skipping school and basically shutting myself in at home. I became a recluse during my sophomore year in high school, and I couldn't go back for about a year and a half. Eventually, I had to drop out. Feeling I had to change, I took up a part-time gig at a drugstore. Although it was just a few daytime shifts a week, it got me out of the house. For someone who had been scared to leave home, this was a big step. I got to interact with all sorts of people, from housewives to seasoned uncles to other part-timers, which expanded my horizons. So I'm grateful for that job. At that time, I also met someone at work who had a side hustle and got some advice from them. Turns out, they'd also been bullied and skipped school, and they'd taught themselves tech skills to become a freelancer. They were now focused more on their side job than the drugstore gig. It opened my eyes. I begged them to teach me. They guided me on how to self-study the skills, and I dedicated all my free time to learning. Once I got the hang of it, I started taking simple freelance gigs. Between that and the drugstore job, my income started to grow. It felt really good. I could earn money working from home, a revelation that boosted my self-confidence. Over time, I delved deeper into freelancing, soaking up more and more knowledge. I worked hard on learning programming through self-study. Why? Because it's the most lucrative skill. It felt incredibly tough at first, but I gradually got the hang of it. Before I knew it, I was landing high-paying gigs with a higher level of difficulty. In a few years, I could sustain myself entirely through freelancing. So, at 22, I finally moved out and lived on my own. My parents seemed incredibly relieved. "We thought you'd never step out into the world, that you'd always be a parasite." My mom's words stung, but I knew they were happy for me, happy that I'd become independent. Dad, of course, was concerned as a parent, but also felt reassured because I was becoming independent. "Feel free to talk to me if you're struggling or having any issues," he always told me in a warm tone. Mom could be a bit self-centered at times, but Dad was always attentive and kind to those around him. That's why I loved Dad so much. Even when I became a social recluse, he told me, "There are plenty of people who are reclusive but still succeed in life or become independent, so don't rush or blame yourself." That advice helped me not to push myself too hard. For a while, I lived on my own and worked as a freelance engineer. Thanks to that, my income started to rise. Before I knew it, I was making around $10,000 a month. It seemed like it happened suddenly. Even though I didn't think I was working that hard, the high rates contributed to my high income, and it even surprised me. So, I didn't really feel like I had a lot of money, and I also didn't have many material desires, so I just kept saving. Within a few years, I had saved about $300,000. Friends advised me that it was better to invest that money, so I started studying stocks. I then put that knowledge into practice with stock investments. Thanks to that, I was able to grow my assets significantly. Since my living expenses were initially very low, I was able to live off the yield alone. I continued my freelance engineering work, which became extra funds for savings or investments, creating a beneficial cycle. Maybe you don't need to obsess over money. Just enjoying what you do could be enough. That became my mindset. Then, after a few years of living this way, I got a call one day saying Dad had collapsed. I rushed to the hospital immediately. Dad looked exhausted, sleeping on the bed. Apparently, he had suffered a stroke and was brought in by ambulance. I sat next to him, waiting for him to wake up. Dad? Oh, Lucia, it's been a while. Dad, you collapsed because you had a stroke. They gave you emergency treatment and now you're supposed to rest. I see. I'm just so glad you're okay. Then Mom, who had gone out to get some drinks, came back and was happy to see Dad awake. I was so scared when you collapsed in front of me. I'm sorry. The doctor advised him to stay in the hospital for tests, so Dad was admitted for a while. I visited him every day. Lucia, you come every day, but is your work okay? Yeah, it's fine. I'm managing my work. That's good to hear. I enjoyed catching up with Dad after a long time. Oh, Lucia, you're here. Mom, being a housewife, visited almost every day, so I often ran into her in the hospital room. Mom never really asked me about my job before. I assumed she'd heard about it from Dad. Then one day, Dad called me urgently, and I rushed to the hospital. Dad, what's going on? Both Dad and Mom were there. I'm sorry for the sudden call, Lucia. The thing is, I've got some lingering health issues that have made my legs and back weak. I'm going to need some help around the house. What? So, Lucia, could you come back home and help out with the chores? Dad didn't want to put the burden of both caregiving and housework on Mom. Sure. It was no big deal for me to help Dad out, so I agreed to move back home right away. I canceled the lease on my apartment and returned to my parents' house. Little did I know that this decision would lead to some unexpected drama. Lucia, thanks for coming back. I hate to be a burden. Don't worry, Dad. You've supported me all these years. It's the least I can do. While Dad was grateful I came back, Mom was not. So you'll be working during the day, right? How does that reduce my workload? Mom questioned me, so I had to explain my job situation. I work from home now, so I can help with cleaning and preparing dinner. Of course, there might be times when I'm swamped with work. Mom didn't seem to get it. I figured she'd understand eventually as we lived together, but she began to assume that I was unemployed. Lucia, it's nice that you're helping out, but can you actually work? We can't afford to feed you for free. I am working, Mom. I told you this before. I had to explain, not only about my job, but also that I'd provided a family credit card linked to my bank account. You can use this card for groceries or whatever, it's all taken care of. Despite using the card, Mom didn't realize it was linked to my account. No matter how much I explained, Mom wouldn't believe me. I knew this would happen. You helping out around the house doesn't mean you can just mooch off us. What? I don't even know why Clay called you back. Were you just living day to day? You don't have debts, do you? Because I won't help you pay them off. I don't have any debts, Mom. Really? Mom continued to look at me skeptically. Why couldn't she trust me? It was devastating to think that in Mom's eyes, I wasn't trustworthy. Then one day, Mom did something shocking. Mom, I'm home! Long time no see, mother-in-law. Ah, I'm so glad Walter and Victoria could make it. Turns out, Mom had invited my younger brother Walter and his wife to come live with us. And not just for a visit, they were moving in. Wait a second, Mom, you never mentioned this to me. Well, it's Clay's and my house, so I didn't think I needed to run it by you. You've gotta be kidding. I've never gotten along with Walter. You see, Walter has always been academically gifted and highly educated. Now he's a high-flying corporate employee at a big firm. So he's always looked down on me, a high school dropout who became a social recluse. We came to save Mom because we heard Lucia is leeching off her again. Really, Lucia is such a troublesome person. Walter's wife Victoria also looked down on me. The first time we met was at their wedding. Walter reluctantly introduced me. It seems he had been telling her that I'm a hopeless social recluse and the family's black sheep. Victoria looked at me with disdain. Even now, when we met after a long time, her eyes were the same. We won't let you do whatever you want just because we're here. That's what Walter, his wife, and Mom say, with a smirk. What are they planning? Then began our life of living together with many people. Immediately, Victoria takes action. Lucia! Wake up! It's morning! I wake up to a knock on the door. The clock reads 5:30 a.m. I often work as an engineer at night. Being woken up this early leaves me severely sleep-deprived. What's going on? It's so early. Why are you so lazy? You're unemployed. You should at least handle all the chores. Prepare breakfast and Walter's lunchbox and take out the garbage. Wait, right now? Seriously? You're lazy. Get to it already! Victoria's tone becomes curt and demanding. Arguing won't get me anywhere, so I just do the chores. Then I quickly go back to bed. I need to catch some sleep while I can. But then Mom wakes me up. What are you doing sleeping? Clean the bathroom, scrub the toilet, and pull the weeds in the yard. We're going to be strict with you from now on. Mom yells at me. Then she teams up with Victoria to supervise me, making me cook both lunch and dinner. I won't have time to work if they keep making me do chores all day. Sure, I could get by just on my investment income, but I still want to maintain my relationship with the clients I've worked with over the years. Plus, I've always enjoyed my engineering job and didn't want to quit, but being constantly interrupted like this was affecting my work. So I decided enough was enough. I put a lock on my door. From now on, no matter how much they try to get my attention or pile chores on me, I won't lift a finger until my work's done. And man, did that tick off Victoria and Mom. They banged on the door multiple times, shouting at the top of their lungs. But I had a plan for that too. I wore noise-canceling earmuffs. I could still hear them a bit, but it wasn't distracting. That way, I could focus on my work and get some decent sleep. But this led to a massive blow-up from Walter's couple and Mom. When I walked into the living room during lunch, they glared at me with utter disbelief. What on earth do you think you're doing? I can't believe how irresponsible you're being. Do you have any idea how much we've been screaming? We've lost our voices! Looking at them, struggling to speak, I chuckled inside. They're the ones getting it all wrong. Ignoring them, I headed for the fridge to make some lunch, but they blocked my way. You think you can just eat here without lifting a finger around the house? We won't allow that. What are they even talking about? I've told you many times I'm the one covering all the food expenses here. Enough already! If we knew this was going to happen, we would have never let Clay convince us to let you stay. It was pointless talking to them. I decided to consult Dad. Dad seemed to have overheard my discussions with Mom and Victoria. I'm really sorry for all the trouble. I never thought Rosie would be this clueless. Both of us are unhappy living here. I'll move to a nursing home, and you should leave this house too. Hearing Dad made me feel a bit relieved. Just knowing someone's on your side is comforting. I decided to move out and started looking for places. That night, Walter came home and called out for me. Hey, Lucia! Get over here! When I went to the living room, Mom and the Walters were glaring at me. We heard from Mom. You locked yourself in your room and didn't do any chores? You're such an embarrassment. I've always felt that way. But please, no more. Their constant berating was starting to get on my nerves. Would it hurt to listen to what I have to say for a change? I'm financially contributing to this household, you know. At that, all three snorted in disbelief. Jobless, huh? Don't act so high and mighty when you're just bringing in pennies. Parasite. Just get out if you're not gonna clean. We're done with you. Stop being a burden. Fine, got it. If they want me out, then I'll leave. As I started packing, Mom and the others exchanged smug glances and chuckled. Now we can finally kick the burden out. Mom, you've been a trooper all this time. From now on, it's just the two of us, living the good life. Mom and the others chatted away joyously. Would they still be smiling once they knew the truth? I pondered this as I packed. I then emptied all the bank accounts down to 39 cents and moved out. First, I stayed at a Comfort Inn. Then I signed a lease for an apartment I had my eye on and moved in as soon as it was available. Life alone was blissful. I welcomed the mornings uninterrupted, ate when I wanted, and went to bed at my own pace. I was incredibly comfortable and happy. About a month later, I received a call from Walter. Hello? Hey, what the heck is going on? What do you mean? You know what I mean! Mom's everyday credit card suddenly stopped working. And guess what? It was connected to your bank account. Oh yeah, I canceled the family card. And of course, I transferred all the money to a different bank account. What? Are you kidding me? That must have been Dad's money in that account. Why did you leave only 39 cents? Oh, that 39 cents. That stands for thank you. What? Stop messing around. Give us our money back. Why would I? All the money in that account was earned by me. Not that you'd believe me. You bet I won't. I'm going to sue you for theft. Feel free, but you'll be the one ending up embarrassed. As I confidently spoke, it seemed Walter began to believe that I really had earned the money. Did you actually earn all of that? I've already told you, ask Dad if you want to know. Honestly, I couldn't care less at this point. I'm cutting ties with you all. So good luck. Wait, hold on! The truth is, I messed up big time at work and got fired. What? That's why I moved back home. I thought Dad must be doing pretty well financially, since you're living there, Lucia. So you're telling me you weren't working? No, I was, but it was part-time. Okay, that's fine then. You're working, even if it's part-time. Good luck with everything. Wait, Lucia! I hung up the phone. I couldn't care less about Walter's job situation. Dad is all set to move into a high-quality nursing home, and that's all that matters to me. As for Walter and Mom, they can figure things out themselves. I've been ignoring all the regretful messages from Mom, saying she wishes I'd come back, or that it was her fault. Turns out, Dad divorced Mom when he decided to move into the nursing home. Apparently, he had grown disillusioned with her. Dad sold the family home and kicked Mom and Walter's family out. Then Victoria said, "We don't need to live together if there's no big house," and refused to live with Mom. So, now, Mom lives alone in an old apartment and has started a low-paying, part-time job. She's apparently worn out, constantly getting yelled at by a woman who's been at the job longer. Furthermore, regarding Walter and his wife, Walter was having trouble finding a new job, and Victoria apparently started having an affair with another man. As for Walter and Victoria, they're in the middle of a messy divorce, fighting over alimony. I don't know all the details, but they're both pretty beaten down, emotionally and physically. On the other hand, I'm living a comfortable life on my own and frequently visiting Dad. Since I've gotten him into a high-end nursing home, he's really enjoying his days there. He's even made a lot of new friends, and smiles more now than he did when he was living at home. Going forward, I plan to continue caring for Dad while enriching my own personal and professional life.